everybody. Welcome to another episode of Fanzone. I'm not Tim Brzakala. He is taking a one-episode hiatus. He asked me to step in. That's usually not a good sign, but you know what? We're gonna power through. We got another match in our tournament, 8-person tournament. He calls it a tournament, whatever. We got the number 6. We are going to second round here. Second round matchup. We got the number 6 seed Nazario Montenegro going up against the number 7 seed Brian Michaels, coming off 2 big upsets. I got Cody and Jacoby here with me to help judge this thing. Let's go to Cody. How you doing today?
Um, from everybody that loves the integrity of this game, I shouldn't be here. But Tim said I need somebody, so I'm here. Listen, I don't care who I play, so that's always helpful because I don't have a preference on who I'm going to play. I may have told Brian in his last match to retire, so some people could deduce I don't want Brian to play me, but that's not the truth. Should be interesting. I think both these players are really good. I've played Nazario. Brian, I think, gave one of the greatest matches against Cam I've seen. Came out just guns blazing. So it could go either way. I'm here to help Mark get through this, and I'm going to be voting first on every vote, so it will not impact the overall. These two will decide it. I'm just the person that throws out a vote. So. Yeah, so Nazario will still bitch at the end of this, regardless of me just saying that. So,
All right, Jacoby, how about you?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to be here. This is going to be interesting. I've never actually judged a debate match before. I played a lot of debate matches, so it'll be interesting to be on the other side of things and really analyze and go at it and listen to the arguments. And I think it'll be a good time. I like both Brian and Nazario a lot. I mean, I just think they're both just really good dudes. So I'm happy to be here. Happy to be here with you, gents. Let's do it.
All right, you got it. Well, start by bringing the competitors, and you wanted to come in first because that's the way he rolls. Then we got Mr. BHS Nazario Montenegro. How you doing today?
I'm sick. Voice iffy. I might have a coughing fit in the middle of a debate. It's gonna be weird. Have my lemon drops. I think I might.
Okay. All right. With that, short and sweet. Very unlike you. We'll bring in Brian. Brian, what's up?
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. I'm going to have, I imagine, a fun time playing against Nazario. He's always a little unconventional. Whenever I've watched his debates or judged his debates, he definitely has some wild approaches, and I'm anticipating those. But he's sick. I have no problem taking advantage of that. Screw him. Kill the week.
Fuck.
Alrighty then. Well, that's what we're gonna do. We're just going to get this started. We got our 4 pre-planned questions, our prep questions. Each better just pick 2 each. They're gonna get 1 minute to open up their argument, 5 minutes of free-form debate, and then 1 minute again to close it out. And at the end of that time, the judges, us 3, are gonna write down who we think won the fight on the whiteboards, and whoever gets the majority, 2 out of 3, is gonna get a point. The first to 3 points wins. If we're tied after the 4 questions, we will go to a bonus question to decide the winner. Is anything else before we get started? Hopefully I didn't forget anything. I guess not. All right. Did
do the clip. Do the clip now.
Yeah, there it is. Man, I'm so fucking good at this. All right, we're gonna start your first question, which I believe was drafted by Nazario. Come the category creature features, which simply, what is the best moment featuring the turtles in a TMNT film? Since this is Nazario, Nazario will kick us off. You got 1 minute whenever you start talking.
So I was looking for a moment that featured all of the turtles, because if you're saying the best moment, it has to be like that brotherly love, that teammate mentality. So I decided to go with Mutant Mayhem's No Diggity montage, which is the scene where they are fighting all the bad guys, trying to look for who's the boss, who's the leader of the gang, who ends up being Superfly. The smart thing about this is that they go to 4 different bosses, and everyone is just with a different turtle in the front. They show everybody's capacity. They show like the determination of Leonardo, the anger of Raphael, the goofiness of Michelangelo, the focus of Donatello. And yeah, even though they are all fighting together as a team, in each one of the little segments that they put like mixing montage, they all shine in their own special way. You can see them joking around, you can see them fighting, you can see them having a great fucking time and enjoying being what they are. Teenage motherfucking Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's beautiful.
All right. Couple seconds on the clock. All right. Take out Nazario. Bring in Brian, and you have 1 minute when you start talking.
All right. The Turtles franchise is known for its comedy and martial arts action, but the moment that stands out as the best is the rare emotional one. In Mutant Mayhem, after the opening grocery mission, the Turtles stop secretly watch from afar an outdoor screening of Ferris Bueller's Day Off in the park. They see the people laughing, playing games, embracing each other, and socializing. Raphael says, maybe one day everyone will love us like they love Ferris Bueller. And you can see their expressions and demeanor change as they look out over the crowd. In this one moment, you learn everything you need to know about the Turtles. They long to be a part of the outside world, but they're forced to live in the shadows and hide in the sewers. They're silent on their slow walk home, their heads hung low, with Mikey stopping for one last look out at the city, where he gives a slight smile that quickly morphs back into sorrow. For a franchise that is not known for emotion, this moment that they chose to express so much of it with just a look told us more about the Turtles than any action or comedy scene could have. To be able to establish such deep characters and give an instant understanding of who they are in an otherwise silly animated film is a testament to what good animation can do.
Both competitors leaving time on the clock already. Bring both of you back in. All right. 5-minute freeform. Whenever there's 1 minute left, I'll drop in the 1 minute warning. If I feel like something's going on too long, I will throw up the let's move on. If one of you is not letting each other talk, I will let your opponent talk. Please don't make me do that. I can't get a hold of Nick Twohig. I guess I'll have to do it and go to your house and beat your ass or something. So there's a question again. 5 minutes when whoever starts talking first.
It's your question. Go ahead.
Cool. Your moment shows that they are sad teenagers that want to be known by the world and accepted. They did that in Out of the Shadows too. They have done that in Secret of the Ooze. They always want to be accepted. That is kind of one of their things, but it's not special. And my moment actually shows them enjoying who they are, not what they would like to be. It shows that they are martial artists, that they are teenagers, that they can have fun, that they love each other, and that they can take any challenge that they want. Your moment is like, okay, we're sad. Cool.
Okay, so you're saying the other movies haven't shown that they're martial artists, haven't shown that they're friends, haven't shown that they're teenagers, all the things that they show in every single other Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. My moment, yes, it shows they're sad. First of all, it perfectly establishes in that opening scene that they are teenagers. This is not like the ones we've had in the past where they seem actually much older. This really makes them real teenagers. But then this one does show that they're sad, which they have done in the previous movies, but this one does it so much better. This one has more emotion than any other scene in the series has had, and it does it so perfectly well.
If you want to talk about emotion, man, you pick a scene from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the original movie, when they beat the shit out of Raphael, and you can see Leonardo basically standing visual next to him while he tries to recover, or where they see the spirit of Splinter being a guide to them through a fire pit while they are lost and trying to find solace while they are recuperating in a farm. That is real fucking emotion there.
There's
not
no
watching fucking Ferris Bueller. It's beautiful, man. That is a beautiful fucking moment. Your moment is like, yeah, we want to be normal. Like, you're fucking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and you want to tell them that now you want to be normal? That's just lame.
No. First of all, my moment, just incorporating the live action Ferris Bueller's Day Off into a movie is cool. That just makes it cool to start with. But that obviously is going to make it the best moment. But even though this film is animated, it makes it feel, that actually helps them feel like they're in our world. So we connect with them more. And so I think that you really feel that. And I think that the fact that this is the rare emotional moment, and this time done way better than the previous film, really does make it stand out. Your moment is a montage. It's a cool montage. It's a collection of like 30 really cool moments, but there's no one single moment in there that is the best moment of the series. It's just a collection of cool shots.
Your moment is not the best moment of the series. And my moment is, yes, a little series of moments that show who they are and how they are. Like I said, the way you can see each turtle doing their own style, how angry Raphael is, how goofy Michelangelo is, how determined Leo is when they face the different challenges of the different monsters and they advance and get what they need from each of them. It's beautiful. And you can see them fight them in tandem, choreographed together like brothers, like who they are. It's one of the best scenes. Yes, I agree that Mutant Mayhem is a great fucking movie, but it is because it finally shows the turtle as what they are: Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, brothers and a team.
And I agree. And my scene shows what a brother and a team they are, what brothers and teams they are, because they're together in their feelings, and they're the only family they have, the only people they know. Yeah, and I think you're giving too much credit to this montage, because yes, it shows, cool fights and them beating up all the different, crime lords, things like that. But I think it lets each one really shine as to how they overcome a certain moment. Things go by so fast that you don't get any real definition in these moments. You're just getting a series of fun shots set to fun music, and it's a fun scene. It's a cool scene, but it is not the best scene in the franchise because it's just like a whole lot of other ones.
You're saying that it's too fast. Yours is like, oh, and it's over. So what
It's
are
a
you trying to
moment.
sell
This was
here?
supposed to be.
What are you saying here? And I'm telling you, like, if you're going for the emotional part, I just told you better emotional moments from the original movie. I can keep going. If you want more emotional moments, you have the Secret of the Ooze, when they discover where the ooze is coming from, it's the real origins. You can go to the 2007 TMNT movie when Leonardo and Raphael actually finally faced that ongoing rivalry they always had, and Raphael beats Leonardo. That's fucking great. That is emotional. They are just way much better moments, emotionally speaking, than yours.
They're absolutely not. They were wannabe emotional moments in the original film. So first of all, the animatronic faces conveyed no emotion.
Fucking excellent.
The films were not nearly as well made, as you even said, and I agree with you. This is probably the best Turtles film, and because it's the most well done, because it shows them for who they are. But I still just don't see how your montage of shots, which again is fun, it does not make a single best moment. There's no one moment in there that becomes the best moment of the series, because mine, it's from the minute they watch that to their whole walk home, you can see who they are. You see more to them than just Ninja Turtles. You see something more.
You can see teenagers being sad. That is the one thing. And I already gave you a list of better emotional moments from the whole series.
They weren't.
And yes, just like I said, every single moment of my montage is special because it shows everyone what they are.
Time. Okay. All right. Good start. All right. With that, let Brian, it was 1 minute. Closing when he starts talking.
There are a lot of movies in the Turtles franchise, and to say most of them are not good is an understatement. The one film that most everyone seems to appreciate and many consider the best is Mutant Mayhem. It seems to capture the perfect essence of what TMNT is, which is probably why both Nazario and I chose moments from this film. But to pick one moment that is the best, not the coolest, not the most fun, but the best, is clearly the one that makes you feel something more. The one that gives you a deeper insight into the characters, the one that lets the Turtles be something more than just cool action or funny jokes. My moment does that, largely without even needing dialogue. It's in the facial expressions, the posture, the demeanor, all done brilliantly in animation, as well as the somber score in the scene. Yes, the movie has plenty of action and comedy, but so does every Turtles film. Taking a lot of it and cramming it into a montage set to no diggity is fun, but doesn't make it any more special or unique. To stand out as the best, you have to do something different, something that makes the franchise better, and the park scene in Walk Home does exactly that. I'm done.
All right. Competitors do not need the full minute. All right. Brian, here's Nazario. You get 1 minute closing when you start talking.
This is the thing that happens when you say best. You interpret it the way you want. To me, best is the best scene where they are all together. For Brian, it was the best emotional moment because he decided that's what best means. I already told him all the best emotional moments that the series have, and none of them are from Mutant Mayhem. Mutant Mayhem is a great movie, but it's not the best Turtles movie. That's 1990. But my moment is the best because it shows all the Turtles being the Turtles the way they are. They all show it during this brief montage. One of them is goofy, one of them is genius, one of them is really angry, the other one just wants to lead. And how they all, in small ways during this montage fight, do it in a way that it's it identifies each of them, their style, and their unity as brothers. It's a great fucking movie. It's a great fucking scene. It's perfect little montage of what they are, who they are, and how they would go. Facts. I forgot the English word. How do they achieve what they want by just being themselves? Overall, it's just the best.
All right, time. All right, let's bring in competitors, bring in the judges. All right. Good. Start. Equal to. I like that. That's what I'll offer to Tim when he comes back. If you want people to, share equal time, you just have to threaten them physically, and that will do it. Okay. Thought about that. Even though probably wouldn't matter that much, I think it looks pretty good. Oh yeah, everybody's ready to go, right? Everybody got their answer. Yeah, you look good. Okay. Let's just we'll just go ahead and start with Cody off every time, just because he has a chance he will play one of these guys in a couple matches.
Yes. So best moment featuring turtles. I like how both of them handled the question. They both went to the same movie. I think Brian focusing on the actual emotion. This is the first time, and I agree, these films are terrible, and you're a child if you like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But Mutant Mayhem did the best that they possibly could. The emotional aspect was good. I overall think that Nazario painted the better picture of the moments with the turtles. That was just my take on it, so I had to go with Nazario on that one. He's even if he sold it as bullshit of having a lot of great emotions in other movies, he gave a lot of receipts on it, so that's why I had to. But great opening closer for Brian, like always. The middle ground is where it was won.
Jacoby.
All right, I'm not very good at teasing of who did what. I'll just this one. So I went with Nazario for that question. That was tough. I heard that opening, and when I heard Brian's opening, when he went first, I'm he's got it. That's it. I was so convinced. But I agree with you, Cody, that in the kind of the free form, Nazario painted a really good picture of attacking. I just think Brian's other emotional moments and why the turtles being who they are is better than what they want to be about the whole franchise. So, but it was really close. That was a really close battle. But I ultimately did go with Nazario.
Yeah, I feel like both players attacked. I mean, my vote doesn't count, but I'll say that did go Nazario on that one. So, yeah. So I feel like they went at this. I think the two possible ways you can do it, either what's the moment that I think represents kind of who these characters are, or just pick or have something that presents something that is different and kind of explores different avenues than we're expected to see. I think Brian brought a really good argument, but I think Nazario bringing in other examples, and I think also explaining how this just fits the turtles as characters the best. I think was just what sold me there. So with that, Nazario will win the first point, getting it 1-0. We'll move on to our next question, which I will take out, which come in the category of action adventure, and the question simply is, what is the best action scene in a Tony Scott film? So this is Brian's question, so he will start us off. And Brian, you got 1 minute when you start talking.
Car chases in movies has been done to death, so how do you make it interesting? In Deja Vu, Tony Scott found the most unique creative way to do exactly that. First, I need to use my time to make sure you understand the concept of the film, which is basically they've stumbled upon a technology that allows them to view a window of 4 days and 6 hours into the past. They can't rewind or anything, as that window moves parallel with current time, always 4 days and 6 hours behind. So after a bombing, they use the clues found in the post-crime investigation to know where to look and to try to track down the suspect, played by Jim Caviezel, in the past. Once he's outside of their range, however, Denzel's character must take a portable rig out in this tricked-out Humvee to essentially chase the suspect and keep his eyes on him, even though separated by time. The portable rig shows wherever it's physically looking but 4 days in the past. So The result is chaotic and mind-blowing. In one eye, Denzel seeing Caviezel's truck, he's following on nighttime roads in the rain with sparse traffic, but while simultaneously his other eye is seeing the actual current midday city traffic he's trying to navigate. It's crazy, it's exciting, and then most of all, it's original and creative.
Time. Alrighty. Click out. Bring in Nazario. And Nazario, you have 1 minute when you start talking. You are muted. You are muted. Oh, wait. Hold on a second. Yep. That's before.
Movie Melee just came here.
Okay. Okay. All right. So, 1 minute when you start talking.
The best action scene in a Tony Scott film has to be the shootout at Lee Dunowitz's apartment at the end of True Romance. True Romance is an interesting movie. It's full of cameos from famous people doing interesting roles. And at the course of the movie, you're following all these groups that are following this bunch of drugs that Clarence and Alabama have. And this all comes to a head in the final scene at his apartment. You get the side from the producer himself with his trades or assistant. You get the cops who are looking for the drugs. You get the gangsters that got the drugs stolen from. And you have Alabama and Clarence and his friend. And it just comes to a head because the fucking bodyguard of Lee Dunowitz hates cops. And the whole shootout is great. It shoots from different angles. It gets everybody involved. It's like all these different threads from the movie just combined in this big explosion of action scene. And you have filled with the little moments because everything can get lost in a shootout, but not in this one because you get closure for each and every single one of them characters in a real emotional moments that go throughout the whole scene. It's beautiful.
Time. Okay. All right. Bring back in Brian. And you guys have 5 minutes with whoever starts talking first. There we go. And,
So, in my movie, Denzel's first time ever using this rig, he struggles to drive because each eye is telling him something different. It leads to a lot of near misses and a good share of actual destruction. For instance, at one point, he stops his truck to look at Jim Caviezel's truck, who's stopped there in the middle of the road. And at the same time, he fails to notice that in present day, an actual truck is coming barreling towards him and smashes into his car. And it's just so exciting because he's trying to do two things at once. It makes the action unique and it makes it more fun.
I believe my scene is best because it not only closes all the stories the movie was treading on very, very separate roads in one little scene. It's just very emotional because you get to see how Lee Dunowitz feels when his assistant betrays him, which is what triggers the shootout. You can see the emotion of the cops just trying to understand this gangster that speaks Italian that nobody can see what is happening. And when that guy kills his partner, how he gets his revenge. And by getting his revenge, how that cost him his life because Alabama confuses him with just trying to kill Clarence, who he wasn't. And while this is all happening inside of the apartment, we're also seeing all the gangsters trying to escape, showing and getting the shootout with the cops in the outside. It works on different levels with different little moments, and everybody gets their little couple of seconds where they get like, call me an ambulance, and like, I'll call you a fucking hearse, and shoots him in the face, stuff like that, because it's just what has been building up for the whole movie in just a beautiful bullet-free bow.
I find it ironic that now that the question is actually for best action scene, now you want to talk about emotion. Now you want to bring emotion into it when we should be focusing on the action. And emotion isn't really the height of your scene. You're seeing the actual action. The actual action scene isn't that great. The dialogue leading up to it, the tension leading up to that scene is amazing. I love the way that's done. But the problem is once the action scenes start, it's just kind of chaos and flying feathers and breaking bottles, and they throw a suitcase
and
in there
exploding drugs
for the sole purpose of having powder fly everywhere. If you want to talk about emotion, Denzel has a personal motivation in mind because besides just solving the crime at hand, my scene starts out with witnessing Denzel's partner getting shot in the past, and then he's trying to track him down as he takes the body or takes the injured person away. And then by the time Denzel gets to his destination, the scene ends with him finding a pile of ashes and some remains there, and he realizes that they're about to watch in the past. At the same time, they're watching him actually shoot this guy and set him on fire. And so if you want to talk about emotion, he's got his own partner. He's basically watching die.
If you're talking about that, you're going beyond the chase. You were selling me the chase, and now you want me to do when he sees.
And you're talking about everything leading up to your scene. So what are we doing here?
So What happens in my scene? My scene is beautiful. Yes, they explode the drugs. One of Clarence friends throws the drugs in the air, gets shot in the air, fills the room with powder, fills the room with feathers. It's a beautiful cinematographic moment during a bullet fest, which is the action part of the scene. And yes, the emotion that happens during the shootout makes it better. In your case, if you forget for a second that all of you explained that nobody can really understand, and the only person that can see this is Denzel Washington. The people who are interacting with Denzel Washington are not criminals, are just people going on their days because it's 4 days later. You know what they see? They see a dick that goes on the opposite way on a one-way street, smashes a bunch of cars, and gets crashes into a truck.
How the other drivers feel
nobody
about
can
it has nothing
understand
to
what is
do.
happening there. It's just one car crashing a bunch of fucking cars for no reason.
How the other
And that
drivers
is not
feel
even
about what he's
original.
doing doesn't change the fact that the action is exciting. It's the best action scene there.
It's not.
First of all, the editing is more like Michael Bay than Tony Scott. There's so much shit going on, especially when you start throwing
Yours
things
is
together.
fucking
You can't tell
Michael
what's
Bay.
going on at the time. There's obvious overuse of squibs, very obvious squibs, and a whole lot of overacting, especially by some of the Italian mobsters, things like that. Really bad overacting. And really, and if you want to talk about emotion, first of all, you've taken one of your heroes of your movie, Alabama. You've turned her into a villain because she's a cop killer because she shoots Michael Penn. You got people
There's
in
a
yours
reason
yelling
for
racism.
it, though.
You got people yelling all kinds of racist epithets at the Italian
Yes,
guys
that's
and doing
part of
mock
the
accents
film.
and things like that. And in mine, though, mine is exciting. Mine, like you said, it doesn't care how the other drivers feel about them. That's like saying that you care about what the rest of the people in the hotel think about the bullets flying around.
Because there's a reason, man. Like there's a reason why there's a shootout happening. Your reason is
There's
like,
a
okay,
reason why mine is happening.
I have this magic thing, and I'm just gonna go fucking against traffic, and I'm gonna crash into this bunch of cars. It's like the guy is just going by himself. This is a chase created by himself with no one else in that moment in the car, going against traffic, crashing innocent bystanders, innocent civilians, and then fucking getting rammed by a truck for no reason. And the way it's shot is like the worst Michael Bay Transformers car chase kind of action scene. It's just boring. It's boring, and it's supposed to be exciting.
Mine is exciting. It's the best action scene in the series. Yours is a shootout.
Fucking not.
It's just like any other shootout. There's nothing that makes this better than any other shootout that I've ever watched in another movie.
There's nothing that makes yours better than any car chase except that it has one car.
Time. I get one car. We're done. Okay. Yeah, Nazario, you're first. You get 1 minute when you start talking.
Okay, literally, car chases are exciting because you have cars going against each other, chasing each other. He's chasing a ghost. A ghost is something that happened 4 days ago. So in reality, that car is chasing no one. It's chasing itself. And what everybody else that interacts with him, all the other cars that get crashed, destroyed during this chase, are people have nothing to do with it. There's not even a reason for it because he's just flips his car against traffic and goes the other way. And he gets fucking nailed by a truck in the end because he's too distracted looking at Jim Caviezel's eyes. Mine is the culmination of a movie that kept building to this. It kept building to the confrontation. What's going to happen when the gangsters find out who took their drugs? What's going to happen with the police when they find who has the drugs? What is going to happen in this thing that might set up Alabama and Clarence for the rest of their lives? And yes, it's beautifully shot. They throw the drugs in the air, fill the room with white powder when the guns flip out. It has little emotional scenes with everybody. It has racial epithets, yeah. It has racial stereotype, yeah. It's a fucking gangster movie from the 90s. What the fuck do you expect?
Do you expect, I think it's for the record. All right, Nazario, bring in Brian. Brian, you got 1 minute when you start talking.
So I think True Romance is Tony Scott's best film, but the few brief action sequences aren't what makes it great. The shootout itself is nothing special. It's just a shootout. The dialogue and tension leading up to that shootout are what makes the scene great, not the action. Even you said it was the things leading up to that, the tension that made that scene great. Tony Scott's a great director, but the best action scene he's made is actually one in Deja Vu. It's one of his less known films. The sheer creativity, both in the concept and in the execution, makes it stand out among other action sequences. We've seen car chases before, just like we've seen plenty of shootouts before. But here he finds a way to bring something new to the idea and make it interesting and exciting. You're essentially watching two chases at once, separated by time. Like Denzel, we're simultaneously trying to process what we're seeing in the past and the present. We are there with the character, feeling the thrill of the chase as well as the confusion. It's unique, it's exciting, it brings a rare, fresh, new idea to the action genre and does make it stand out. Whereas yours is just a shootout. Yours does not actually have emotion. It has emotion leading up to it. There's nothing special about yours. And besides, like you said, we're not talking emotion. Now we're talking action.
Time. All right, got it all in. All right. Bring in everybody else.
I didn't know if everyone had seen that movie, so I had spent half my time explaining it.
I mean, it's a good chance somebody in here has seen it. I think. I don't know. You guys ready?
Yes.
Okay. Cody, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, Brian, it's not so easy to keep your cool all the time in a match and let your emotion get a little frustrated. Nazario sucks at playing against. I saw that emotion. Was like, oh, now you want to talk about emotions? See, it does happen to us players. Overall, I thought this was interesting. Shout out Deja Vu, great Denzel movie, fantastic, underrated Tony Scott. I think overall this was back and forth. Nazario got really caught up on the emotions and all the aspects of it. Brian centered the question around best action scene. I think he did the best job of painting the picture of the action, so I had to go with Brian on this one. I just think it was overall presented better.
I had to keep that in mind the whole time we were talking. What is the best action scene? What is the best action scene? And Brian made sure to kind of keep that central in everybody's thoughts as well. And his scene just sounds kind of nuts. And I think he set it up really well. So, yeah, I went with Brian on that one, too. Jacoby, I guess technically this doesn't count, but where are you going to go?
Yeah, no, I hear those sentiments. I went with Brian as well for that. I think Nazario had a very interesting just approach in the ways that he attacks. Like he centered it really around like the emotion first. And when that one didn't seem to be sticking as much, he said like, well, your car chase has innocent people in it. Like, and that's what makes it like not as maybe exciting and boring. But like all those counters, Brian did have a counter for, which is like, well, yes, it's a car chase that's in it, but it's actually the most creative car chase that you could imagine while the shootout is still just a shootout. So that's why I ultimately went with Brian.
All right. Another clean sweep, and we are all tied up at one.
So that's how it's going to go.
Going into our next question. Next question would come in the category of... I should really get rid of that. Come in the category of directors. Selected by Nazario, which is simply which Lars von Trier film should be seen by more people. All right. As said, it's Nazario's question, so he will start us off. You get 1 minute, and you start talking.
This is a very difficult question to choose because, honestly, all of his films should be seen by more people. I think very few people watch his films. But as I understand this question, I would say you have to go with one of the most accessible ones, which is why I picked Melancholia, which is not only a beautiful 5-star perfect film, but it's also his most accessible because it is centered on a story that people can identify with about the end of the world and about depression, nostalgia, and how you are supposed to be happy even though you feel you are sad. It's a unique exploration of mental health on the character of Kristen Dunst because she's about to get married, but she does not feel happy about it. She just does it because this is what she thinks that she's supposed to do. And setting this, comparing it to the problems that Lars von Trier has mentioned himself, that he has suffered with depression and suicidal thoughts, with the background of beautiful cinematography about the end of the world when a star Melancholia is about to crash on Earth, is beautiful. It's a lovely film.
I think a lovely film. Yeah, strike it. Or maybe just film. I'm not 100% sure. Sometimes I'm off. All right, goodbye, Nazario. Brian, you get 1 minute when you start talking.
All right. Lars von Trier is fucking weird, but he's certainly not afraid to push boundaries and experiment with the format, which at least makes some of them worth checking out. So when discussing which of his films should be seen by more people, I would argue that 1, it needs to be a film that not many people have already seen. 2, it needs to be a film that represents his particular style of filmmaking. And 3, it needs to still be accessible so that people will be interested. Dogville fits all of those. It's not a well-known film. Even among those who know of it, few have actually seen it. The great talented cast is what makes it appealing and accessible. Nicole Kidman stars, along with Paul Bettany, Stellan Skarsgård, Patricia Clarkson, James Caan, and more. But the reason to watch it is Von Trier's experimental style. The movie is presented more like a stage play. Instead of actual buildings or sets, the town's main street and the outlines of the buildings are marked on the floor with minimal dressings and props. It's more like a rehearsal space mock-up. Everyone in the cast is visible anywhere in the town, even when they aren't the focus of the scene. It's unconventional for a film, but it's also the ultimate example of Von Trier's particular brand of weird. And it's a film that far too few people have actually seen. And you want the first film they watch to give them an idea of what Von Trier is really like.
All right. What he's really like. Just right back from the record. Alrighty. Bring in Nazario. And, all right, 5-minute freeform. Whoever starts talking.
I don't think you could have taken a worse example. Well, maybe Nymphomania. But other than that, just because of the things you said, this movie is not a movie. He painted a chalk outline of a town on the floor and told everybody to imagine everything that was happening. They have nothing. They see a bunch of people walking around pretending to be doing stuff that they're not doing, without even props, without even set dressings. And this is the film that you think is going to say like, I'm going to the movies. I'm paying $15 to watch this. And I see nothing except actors. And I'm going to come back for more of this. That I do not get that idea. Mine is beautifully done. It's cinematic. It has stunning visuals, and it deals with real emotions about depression.
But I also feel like yours is the least large Von Trier of his films. I think that if people are going to get into Von Trier, you want the first movie they see, you want the one that more people need to see, to be one that's going to tell them what they're really getting into Von Trier films. Because his stuff is fucking weird. He has weird experimental films. And yes, this is a little bit too extreme, but you still have the actors. You still have great acting. Like, people go see stage plays, and they love the acting. It's still a great performance. But this is the one
that to see plays.
But my argument for yours, though, the problem is Melancholia is already the film of his that most people have seen. Of all of his films, it's the most viewed film of his. Yet Dogville is actually rated higher than his by the people who have actually seen it. If you go on Letterboxd, IMDb, any of those. So clearly, the one that more people need to see is the better film that they already not as many people have seen.
I checked the box office because I figured you would come with this, and they basically made about the same amount of money. When you're saying the most people have made, it was for like hundreds of thousands of dollars, not even $1 million. It's like none of these films are widely seen. So you want people to come and actually see more of his films. And what you do is you show them the most accessible one. Because if you go with the one that represents his most weird and tendencies, they're going to say, I'm not going to keep watching this. And it doesn't even become a correct representation of his, because this is not what Von Trier does. Von Trier did these two movies, this one and Manderley. That is a prequel. And Manderley had more sets than Dogville because he learned his lesson. Like, this is the extreme. Like, this does not represent what Von Trier is either, if that's what we're going with. You go with the more
yours is the other
film.
extreme. Yours is going to be a bait and switch. They come and see Melancholia, and then his other movies are way weirder. And I think this is Melancholia is actually his most mainstream films of his films. And first of all, as far as the box office, they were made about the same amount of money. But if you look at the number of people who've rated it and viewed it, if you want to look at, like I said, IMDb, Letterboxd, wherever, a lot more people. I think roughly twice as many people have already seen Melancholia than have seen Dogville. I'm not going to rest my case on statistics. I'm just saying that mine is already less seen. So I think more people need to see that. And if nothing else, for the great performances within it. And also, you really do want to know that Lars von Trier, you don't want to bait and switch them. Like, sure, let him see something weird, and maybe his other ones won't be as weird, but at least you know what you're getting into as opposed to Melancholia.
I do not think that Melancholia is a bait and switch, because this is a freaking depressing ass fucking movie, which all of his movies are.
Most of his, yeah.
You could say this from everything. You could say Dancer in the Dark. Oh, they're going to think everything is a musical. You're going to be Breaking in the Waves. Oh, everything is religious. No, he just finds different ways to be weird, sad, and depressing. This one is the one he gets to be sad, weird, and depressing with the confines of a cinematic movie that has stunning visuals, great cinematography. It has great acting with Kirsten Dunst and Charlotte Gainsbourg, like you mentioned, with the stars, and also explores sci-fi themes, which is something that he does for this movie, and I think it's appealing to a lot of people with the melancholy of planets crashing into Earth.
Yours has a sci-fi backdrop to it, but it's really, like
Yeah.
I said, one of his most conventional films. As far as your cast, you have a couple great people in it. First of all, Kirsten Dunst, I will argue she's not a good actress at
He
all.
won the award at Cannes for this film.
That's fine. I said my personal opinion, but you got Kiefer Sutherland in there, clearly the weak link of this. He's totally out of his element. He brings the whole cast down because he does not fit in this movie. If you don't want to take my word for it, Quentin Tarantino, when discussing the 20 best films from I think it was 92 to 09, it was like a decade and a half, he named Dogville as one of the 20 best films in that series. Denis Villeneuve called the movie genius. These people, these high praise from esteemed filmmakers who a lot of people who love them and love the films that they show people have agreed that this is the film that needs to be seen.
You're citing film geeks about a film geek movie. He said, I'm going to go with Dogma 95 and only use whatever I have available to make a movie. And then he decided to shoot an empty stage. That is what's happening here. This is not going to appeal to people. People are going to watch Dogville and they're going to run away. They're not going to come back to watch Mandalay. They're not going to come to watch anything else by Von Trier.
Time. Alrighty. All right, Brian, you got a minute.
What is already the most watched Lars von Trier film? Melancholia. Even if you think Melancholia is the better film, it's not about best. It's about which should be seen by more people. Dogville has both far less viewers and higher ratings on Letterboxd, IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes, wherever you want to look. Not as many people have seen it, even though it's considered the better film, which alone says more people should see it. And they should. Those already into Von Trier may not have seen it yet, purely because it's not readily available on digital or streaming. It was only on this movie streaming service that I've never even heard of. And for those new to Von Trier, Dogville is a great introduction point for viewers who might want to dip their toes into the weirdness of his films. It has a talented, well-known mainstream cast, but it's also very much not a mainstream movie. Dogville, while still accessible, is something different. It's experimental cinema. It's not so much about the story as it is about the unique presentation and performance. And that is Lars von Trier in a nutshell. You do not want to bait and switch them by giving them a conventional film only to have them go and look at other films of his that they are not going to enjoy as much.
Alrighty. Back over to Nazario. Finish it up with your 1 minute when you start talking.
Melancholy is anything but a conventional film. What it is a masterful film that combines Lars von Trier's distinctive visual style and personal depression with a universal story. It has stunning visuals, it has cinematography, it has excellent performance that won awards at Cannes. It's philosophical and existential, and it shows those themes while in the confines of a sci-fi movie. It's not a bait and switch because you get exactly what you get with everything that he presents to you. A sad story with deep meaning. But what you get with Dogville is a movie that is almost inaccessible to people who are not Quentin Tarantino film geek that spend all his early life watching films and enjoy like, hey, you know what? Bring me to a thing where we can watch people pretend to be in a movie while they're actually in an empty stage with nothing, telling me a story about slavery in the middle USA. People are going to run away from this and they're not going to know what they are watching, and it's not going to be appealing to them because they don't have the deep background you needed to understand this film.
Time. I don't think you got in everything. All right. Let's bring in everybody. This is okay. This was certainly a question to ask. This is what's missing when Tim's not here, because I think he's very good at just kind of bantering off the cuff, and I feel like when I'm here, there's a lot of dead air. Like just nobody says anything.
Tim just talks to himself a lot. All right, as somebody that's been a friend with him for a long time, he just talks to himself, so he's really good at talking.
Well, I'll fill in time by saying the correct answer to this question is none of them.
I mean, I talk to myself too. I figure I'd be better at it, and when the camera's going.
You don't have better conversations.
Start us off.
Listen, this guy is a terrible director. Okay, I hate this guy. I just have no business watching his films. So I'm the perfect person to judge this. Who should see him? None. You should see any of these. But on the question itself, this is always a hard question to as a debater in this league, it's hard to debate one of these questions because what should be seen by more people? I don't know. Like it's a very hard question to and then try to paint. I like Nazario's attempt to take down Dogville about you won't get the stuff in it. It won't be that appealing. I just think it's hilarious because I have somebody that's seen Melancholia. I would have rather never watched that movie and been better off because of it. So it's hard to paint it. This guy has a very unique style. It's only for a situational person. I think Brian tackled it the best in my way of just saying it's the lowest, it's the highest rated, but it doesn't have the same appeal. So the people that seek out these kind of films have rated it, but not a lot of people. I ended up going with Brian. I think it was a lot closer than what the score probably will read on this one. Wouldn't be surprised if this is not a clean sweep, this is split. But that was just my take on it because as much as I don't like using Letterboxd and Rotten Tomato and the amount of people that have viewed stuff, in the question like this, I think it's fair game. I think that's the best way you can present it because you have raw numbers to back up that people haven't seen it as much as the other. So that's why I end up going with Brian. Tell me why I'm wrong, Mark.
Right.
Or
well, Jacoby, you didn't decide last time, so why don't you go first?
Yeah, this one is an interesting question. I agree. Should be seen by more people. I don't even know how you argue that. I will admit that the letterbox stats it's statistically shown that more people have seen Melancholia more than Dogville, so Dogville should be seen. That argument didn't work at first for me. It did start to win me over at the end, but I think overall what it boiled down to was Nazario's argument of an audience should start with something to ease them into his themes versus Brian's let's start really weird and then to introduce the full style overall. And I think the one I went with Nazario because I think that argument just played a little harder because I think Brian, there was a point in the argument where he hinged it on a Quentin Tarantino saying hey, he should see this too. And I thought Nazario had a pretty good retort for that. It was yeah, this is a very niche film. If you want more people to watch these sort of movies, you need to ease them in. I like how both of them attacked it in very separate directions. I just think Nazario came out a little bit on top of it.
Okay, look at that. I get to decide one. Yeah, I mean, kind of piggybacking on what you guys said. You guys kind of attacked it at two different directions. I think also kind of the two ways you'd probably want to go with it. Brian, in the sense of this is what's the most him, and if you like this, you can probably go more into this. Nazario, this is probably his the most mainstream you're going to get from him. You're if you watch this and you like it, this can probably jump off to more things. And I think I did kind of like how Nazario said, listen, you watch Dogville first. You're not going to get to anything else. You're going to watch this. It's going to just creep you out. And I'm not going to. And I feel like Nazario also had a good comeback to that in a sense of, yeah, my movie is technically more mainstream, but it is still really weird. It still feels like a Lars von Trier film. And I feel like with that setup, I did go with Nazario here. It was really close. I wasn't expecting that from this question of all questions, but look at that. But with that, Nazario will get the point here. Be a second, which means we go into the fourth that Brian has to hit to keep going. If not, Nazario will win. But luckily for him, it is his category sci-fi icons. And the question, simply, what is the best performance in a Terminator film? And since I alluded to Brian's question, he gets to start us off. 1 minute, and you start talking.
Many of the greatest genre movies are made great by their memorable villains. Hannibal Lecter, Hans Gruber, Hans Landa, Darth Vader, and of course the first Terminator had, the Terminator. So when it came time for T2, they needed an equally memorable villain, and they got it with Robert Patrick's portrayal of the T-1000. Instead of another hulking juggernaut figure like Arnold, this time they wanted to juxtapose that with a villain who was smaller and faster, but still equally menacing and relentless. He would exhibit intelligence and strategy rather than brute force. He would be deceptive and cunning. He would be focused on a singular mission at all times, and nothing would stand in his way. He would be a character you could believe that even Arnold's Terminator might not be able to stop. Robert Patrick gave us all of that. He made this robot from the future feel real. You believed every moment of his performance and feared him. Even at half Arnold's size, you believed that he was a match for him. You could feel him constantly thinking, analyzing, strategizing with something as simple as a look in his eyes. What could easily have come across as robotic and stiff instead was portrayed with perfection by Robert Patrick.
All right. It's time. All righty. I'm going to take out Brian. Here's Nazario. 1 minute when you start talking. You're muted, Nazario. Oh, and
God
look at
damn
that. Exact same time, exact same situation, changing the banners.
What is happening?
Okay. 1 minute. You start talking, sorry.
I think he picked the best film. Terminator 2 is definitely the best in the franchise. James Cameron found something special with this one. And he found something special in Linda Hamilton for this film too. This is a character we already met. We met her in the first Terminator movie where she was just a woman, Sarah Connor, scared for her life. And through the experiences that she had in that movie, she had to grow and adapt. And that is the character we meet in Terminator 2. She has become a different, more grown-up, rugged person. She understood that the fate of the world was in her womb, and she had to raise that kid. She had that responsibility, and it made her into a tough warrior woman. Knowing the arc this woman has gone through, and yet seeing her perform it in the movie is kind of a spectacular, because you can see through her performance that she's a completely different person, and yet she's still the same soul. She just understood what the assignment was and what she had to go to do it. And she's willing to sacrifice the love of her son just to achieve what it has to get achieved. It's amazing.
Time. Excuse me. All right. Brian. All right. So 5 minutes when he starts talking.
So when you think about Terminator 2, you automatically think about Linda Hamilton. I mean, you think of Sarah Connor. Sarah Connor is great. It's a great character. The problem is the character of Sarah Connor is great. The character arc, as you mentioned, knowing the arc going into this movie, the character arc from the first movie to this movie is great. The change in her character is what's the interesting story. But her actual performance is pretty average. She plays tough really well. If at times a little dramatic, she plays tough awesome. But in the emotional moments which she has to have, she's really quite cringy. She plays them way over the top at times.
Sean Penn was interviewed once about I Am Sam, about his great performance in that movie. And he said, I don't understand why people keep praising me for this. The easier roles to do are the ones you are limited, when you can only do so much, because that is what the character can do. And that is Robert Patrick in a nutshell for this movie. You ask him to speak as little as he can, to try not to blink, and to look weird. He keeps repeating this note over and over in the movie. You say he's a memorable villain. What makes him memorable is the fact that he's made from liquid fucking metal. It was 1992, so CGI was not really a big thing yet, and it looks fucking amazing. When you see the clips from this movie, you see the clips of him melting down, growing through bars, getting melted at the end of the movie, getting thrown into drops, and getting frozen. You do not see him talking to kids or looking around, you know?
The special effects in this movie are cool, and they made the character of the T-1000 cool. But the character would not have worked if you didn't have a great performance. He has to be intimidating. He has to be focused. Yeah, you have to believe that he can be a match for Arnold. And he, from beginning to end, he has a soul mission, and he does it. Yes, it's a simplistic performance, but that's the role he is made to play. He's a robot. That's who he is. With Sarah Connor, though, you have to judge her whole performance. And like I said, the action stuff's cool, but you know, when she's in the interview saying anybody not wearing 2 million sunscreen is going to have a real bad day, get it? And then she, him, you, everybody, we're all dead. I mean, it's so over the top, super melodramatic, horrible actress. And when she's waking up from her dream that she has about Judgment Day, she tries to look scared. When she has Dyson at gunpoint and she's, you know, looking conflicted and trying to look cry and being consoled by John, she just has a horrible look on her face. It's like the woman plays tough, but she cannot do emotion, which is half the performance.
You called it a simplistic performance yourself, and it is what it is. Her performance, Linda Hamilton, is actually has depth. She actually has the breakdown moments. And hey, when you break down crying because you're stressed out, you don't look regular. You look weird. You look cringy. That is emotion just bursting out of you. Nobody who watches that movie goes out like, yeah, Linda Hamilton wasn't that great, right? So that's not it. And when you say that your character is a match for Arnold, he's the one he cannot defeat, it's because of what he's made of. He's made of liquid metal, and they do not know how to figure out how to fucking destroy that. It has nothing to do with his acting. It doesn't have anything to do with him looking menacing. He doesn't even look menacing. He just looks at you like this for 2 hours.
Your performance, it does not stand on its own either, because your performance relies on the first movie. Because like you said, knowing the arc going in the second movie,
it's an arc of a character in an ongoing series.
It's the character. It is not her performance in this film. Sarah is about the character arc from 1 to 2. Without the first movie, Sarah Connor's place in the second movie isn't as impressive. And so is likewise when you judge Linda Hamilton's performance just in T2, that performance isn't that all that impressive either. Like when she's giving the narration, first of all, at the beginning, she has this totally monotone narration. It's like Morgan Freeman, she is not. And as far as Robert Patrick, you want to talk about his performance being, being simple or one note or whatever you called it. Other Hannibal Lecter is a one-note character, but it's a great note. You see the intelligence and cunning behind the calm exterior. Hell, most Tom Cruise performances are one note, but they're also pretty great. Hamilton's is
Hannibal Lecter is not a one-note character. I'm sorry,
it really
man.
Is. He kind of has very calm. He has the same very calm demeanor, just talking like he is, and just if you want to talk about staring at the camera, that's what he does the whole time. Hamilton's is at best a two-note performance. She plays tough and she plays emotional. One of those notes is great. The other one, not so much.
They both fucking work. And yes, I am, of course, taking into account an arc of a character because I'm picking a character that has some story before the film. You pick one that got dropped in the movie, dies at the end of the movie. Good for you. Simple as his performance. But yes, you have to go into a sequel with the knowledge of what happened in the first one. So the growth of the character hits you the most. Yes, she plays fucking great being tough. Yet she sacrificed the love of her son, John Connor, because she wants to make him tough so he can survive and lead humanity into the to beat the machines. But the fact that she breaks down, that she has emotion, that she also feels that motherly love for his son, and he needs to protect it. She doesn't know if she's willing to sacrifice innocent lives to save the world. Yes, it's great. It's a great performance.
Has those emotions. Her performance of it goes bad.
Something bad, and you gotta strike it. Okay, Nazario, first, bring us home. 1 minute.
You want to separate the character from the performance of the character. The character exists because of the performance. Nobody remembers like, oh yeah, I love this character, but the actor sucked. No, if you love Sarah Connor, it's because of the way Sarah Connor was created and portrayed during the film. This is the best version of Sarah Connor, T2. She appears in Dark Fate. She appears in The Reign of Terminator. But you can see a whole arc going and ending through this. But this is when she's at her core. Her emotional moments are strong. Her tough moments are really, really strong. And she gives you an arc, her relationship with Arnold, how she sees him first full of fear because she remembers what he is. And then how she very difficultly starts to open herself to the idea that he's a protector for her in this particular version, even though she cannot trust him fully. It's a great performance. It has subtlety in it. It's not a one-note character in a simplistic performance called by Brian himself, which is basically don't blink, don't speak, look mean, and walk slowly.
Done. Okay. Sorry, I'm bringing Brian. You got 1 minute, and you start talking.
So what is The Dark Knight without Heath Ledger's Joker? What is The Wizard of Oz without the Wicked Witch? A movie is only as good as its villain. Terminator 2 is considered by many to be the best in the franchise, and like so many great movies, one thing that makes it great is an outstanding villain performance. Robert Patrick gives us an iconic villain for the ages. Whereas Sarah Connor's impressiveness comes from the character and her arc from the first film to this one, the success and appeal of the T-1000 character comes down to the intense and totally convincing performance of Robert Patrick. The Terminator franchise has never since had a villain performance as great as Robert Patrick's T-1000. You can say he has like a single mode, but that's the point of the character he's asked to portray. It's not about range, it's about the performance. Linda Hamilton absolutely has lots of good moments, but she has her share of bad ones too, especially anytime she's tasked with showing any kind of emotion. While Robert Patrick's performance doesn't have a single flaw. And as far as the humans, she looks great next to like Edward Furlong, but Miles Dyson, Joe Morton as Miles Dyson, actually gives a better emotional performance in this movie. You have to judge her performance on everything, not just the looking cool and action. And her character has emotion, but she doesn't do it well.
She doesn't do it well. Strike from the record.
Oh,
Freaking
on my
Nazario.
screen, you were still counting.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a lot of things. What the
I
hell?
think it counted.
Okay. Listen. I
I
don't
don't
know.
think that's going to sway anybody. Those last 4 words. So
Well, hold on. Did they count or not? I need to know.
You know what? I got struck down by that. My camera holdsman last time I was in here. So you know what? People don't know. Whenever I hear, I'm just going off what I hear, and I do the time. I don't know, but whatever.
That's
God,
fair.
why'd I get heated over that? It's so stupid.
I don't know. Got a little attitude problem.
Probably.
It's all the
Probably.
angry TV you're watching lately.
Yeah, people are really angry in those. Probably because they're in prison.
What are you watching?
The Wire, Breaking Bad,
Oh, nice.
and
Okay.
Oz. So
Oh yeah. Okay. All good shows. Okay, there you go.
yeah, reasons for the anger. Schillinger's doing a number on Mark right now.
Schillinger, been here 6 years. You can't get my name right.
Damn. Okay. All right, you guys ready to go?
We've been ready. You're the one taking forever.
I didn't know where I was gonna go, and I got all in a tizzy for.
Yeah, Mark, hurry up. Do you like this banter now that we'll just insult you?
Yeah, we'll cut it.
Yeah, the editor loves it.
Yeah.
Cody, start us off.
It's Tim. Interesting. I've known there's a trend that happens all the time in Fanzone. It's like when you pick the correct answer and you feel like it's correct, somehow it finds a way to lose. It just does. Because as soon as Brian said his answer, I'm like, yep, that's an answer. That's the winner right there. I think Nazario did a very good job tearing down the performance, basically, of the CGI effect on it, of just the blank staring. What we get the one note from him. Is it a performance? Is he the villain? Yes. But I think when even in his closing, Brian was like, all the great villains of the thing. I think they do a better performance. All the ones he mentioned do more than just what he does in that movie. I think the takedowns for Linda Hamilton were fair, but overall, I think there was enough there to give me a better performance overall of range. So I had to go with Nazario. But if anything, my vote doesn't matter. So these two will probably overvote me. But that's my choice.
Yeah, this one was really tough. But these last two questions have been on par. I mean, yeah, kind of the same thing, Cody. Once I heard Brian's answer, like, okay, this thing, and then Nazario came in with some heat, but I feel like I did kind of lean a bit more on kind of Brian's takedowns on it, and I think it was his defense that kind of swayed me the most, and especially like when he went through. Listen, whenever he did the "You need that sunscreen," I laughed. Like, all right, like yeah, that I remember. Like, that's a really bad scene. So yeah, I did go with Brian on that one. On this one, I think less about that, even though Nazario brought in some good stuff that I didn't necessarily think about. So Jacoby, gonna be deciding this one. What you got?
Ooh, interesting. So, yeah. See, I heard it the other when I heard Linda Hamilton first. I thought that was the correct answer first of all, and I was like, okay, here we go. And when Brian started to compare it to like other like the most famous villains of all time, like Hannibal Lecter, like the Joker, like all those sort of things, I was like that's kind of dangerous because like you're really putting them up there. But through the vicious takedowns I think that Brian did of Linda Hamilton's performance, basically from start to finish, of every scene that she did where she was bad, and then closing that up with Linda Hamilton, yes, is tough and is great as a tough person, while her emotional moments suck, and here were all the reasons why that they do suck. While it's like, yes, it is one note, but it is such an intense performance throughout, and you got to judge it there. So I went with Brian.
Look at that, all tied up after the.
Dude, I'm terrible at this. Brian hates speed rounds too. This is fun.
Well, let's see when we get to the actual speed run. Well, since we're all tied up, we're going to go into the bonus question, guys. Going to I guess I'll just say it's going to work like this. So you each going to have 2 goes at it. Each going to get a 45-second segment. Start it out. You're going to get 45, 45, and then a 30-second rebuttal. 30-second rebuttal each. And we're going to go to. Wait, did I say something wrong?
No, just making sure you're going to say the question twice before they answer.
Got it.
Tim loves
Well-
that part. I just want to make sure you get it.
Well, here's what we did, guys. I flipped a coin, whether it was going to be a Fandom or Melee. It landed on Melee. I spun the wheel, and it landed on Crime. So, your question: what is the best crime film in the 2000s?
Jesus. At least it's a small question. We can cover in 45 seconds.
Okay.
Departed.
Okay. Write that down somewhere.
Catch me if you can.
Catch me if you can. All right. All right. Peace out. All right, I'll stay on. All right. I'll stay on here. I'll give the countdowns. Brian, pick Departed, so you'll go first. Nazario, you're Catch Me If You Can. Once again, you get 45 seconds to open the argument. Then the other person's going to get 45 seconds. And we're going to go
Wait.
back. Yeah,
He goes
what's up?
first. I go second.
He talked first.
Yeah, because I said it first.
Okay.
And then go 30, 30. And after that, vote. Okay. Brian, 45 when you start it.
The Departed is widely considered the best crime film of the 2000s, if not one of the best crime films ever, and rightfully so. It's a remake of Infernal Affairs, yes, but the fact that it's based on other material does not preclude it from being great. They took what was a great, solid story, and they've made it even better. They brought it to America, gave it a different flavor, and added a spectacular cast, including Jack Nicholson, including Matt Damon, Leonardo DiCaprio, Mark Wahlberg, Martin Sheen, so many others. The movie won four Oscars, but nominated for several more, including the Best Director for Martin Scorsese and Best Adapted Screenplay, because it was the best story adapted from a previous screenplay. I think that it has everything you want. It's got some lighthearted comedy to it, but it is very serious. It shows people two different worlds. It's got great emotional drama between the characters. It's got inner conflict as well as exterior conflict, and it's just a beautifully made crime film.
Time. Alrighty. Go and bounce over to Nazario. 45. You start talking.
Catch Me If You Can is a movie where Steven Spielberg is at the top of his game, where people forgot that he was at the top of his game. He has Tom Hanks playing an FBI agent trying to figure out who's these people that has been conning the whole government with fake checks throughout the United States. It's a great story for Leonardo DiCaprio, who just started doing confidence games because he wanted to grow, that he needed to leave his house. And then he just gets more and more confidence. He has so much raw talent that he becomes so successful that he's almost uncatchable. And when they finally catch him, they know he's so good that they still need him to help him catch other people. It's an interesting story. It's tells the life of a whole person. It's very, very developed and appealing. It has comedy, it has drama, it has everything. And yeah, I'm glad he said it was a remake because his movie is not original.
Okay. So I'm leaving some time on the clock. All right, Brian, 30 seconds when you can get going.
Mine is a remake, yes, but it's a remake that's far superior to the original. Yours is also based on somebody's life story and based on his. I believe he wrote a book as well. But yours is actually, I mean, while there's crime in it, yours really is more of a comedy. It's lighthearted, it's fun, which is fine, but it's not. It doesn't give you as much as you want from a crime film. Leonardo DiCaprio is better in my film. Your film is fun, yes, but it is the best crime film of all crime films in the decade. No, was that 10 seconds or was that cut off?
This is 10. This is 10.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just think that mine is a better story as far as showing the actual world of crime and not just showing like one man's kind of romp through these different cons.
All right.
Sorry, I saw your hands go down. I didn't see what it was.
I did 10. I did give you an extra 5 seconds because of the confusion.
Okay, thank you.
Nazario, I'll give you the same 5-second leeway.
The main character in my movie is a con man. He makes cons, faking checks, pretending to be some jobs he's not, and how he tricks the cops all the way around. It's literally a crime story. Is it funny? Yes. Is it dramatic? Yes. Is it intense? Yes. It had a great performer, the Amy Adams, that gives it heart in the center of it. Yours, Yes, mine is based on a true story, but was never adapted to a film. Yours is adapted from a film, which arguably is an even better film. Infernal Affairs can be better than Departed. The Jack Nicholson performance is based on Whitey Bulger. He's just having fun. It doesn't really give you that gravitas that you need. And overall, I think mine is more memorable, and Tom Hanks is great in it too.
Time. All right. Two pros. Very good fight. I wouldn't expect it in any other way than this. And great. I'm at the bottom. Gonna do a lot of switcheroos here.
Good match, Nazario.
Good match, man. That
And
was
your
fun.
voice held up. So
Yeah. Good shit. Lemon
might
drop.
not be talking tomorrow, but you made it through this.
Fair.
Okay, you guys ready?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Cody, start us off.
It's really hard to battle such a simple question of the best film of the 2000, crime film of the 2000s. Like, it's such an easy thing to do. They did a good job. I think, again, it's overall who just paints it better in the speed round for me. And basically, you only can have a few throws backs at your opponent in that time frame, but you also have to set up what yours is. Just to get my thing, I don't think the remake does anything for me. Best is best. I don't think that it has any weight for me whatsoever. I understand the try for that. The lightheartedness, not into the comedy, I think that was an interesting approach from Brian. Overall, the time used, I just gave it to Brian. I think it's a really close. I think both questions are correct answers. I just think Brian was able to utilize the full time to paint his picture and take down Catch Me If You Can when he was able to. So back to movie Melee. I got you. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, Jacoby, I believe I was trying to go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So again, both competitors took an approach that I don't know if I agree with, but I understand that it's hard in a speed round. Like, both of them just basically explained some of the semantics around their movie, the plot of the movie, what the movie was awarded, and people who were in their movie. And so, and I get it. Like, you have 45 seconds. You have to just name things. I didn't hear really why either or was the best actual crime film. They both seem like good movies. So it had to come down to what I just thought was I heard a bit more attacks on and what other people's attacks were on the other ones. So Brian's takedown of the comedy elements of it was stronger than Nazario's takedown of just it's based off of existing sort of material, which I kind of thought were the two biggest barbs thrown against it. And both of them defended against those barbs well, but as a barb, I think just Brian's was stronger. So I went with Brian.
Alrighty, the vote doesn't count, but was a clean sweep on this one. I also went with Brian. Kind of for a lot of the same reasons that Cody and Jacoby brought up. I just feel like Brian had a few more effective attacks against Nazario's film. I honestly especially liked whenever Nazario brought up as a remake, and then Brian hit right back. Well, this is based on somebody's life. It's based off yours is based off pre-existing material too. So I just think he just kind of came in with a little bit more things here. Had to go with Brian. That does mean, and your winner, Brian Michaels. Good match. Just get started right away. Pre-match interviews. Take out Brian here for a second. Talk to Nazario. Nazario, I feel like even though it's kind of, I think you got to talk about some weird stuff. You always like talking about Lars von Trier for some reason. Talked about your turtles. Got to show off your toys. This feels like a win for you either way.
I mean, I honestly thought I had it on the Terminator 2 question because Robert Patrick is pretty fucking basic in that movie. But I get why you went the other way because Linda Hamilton might be called cringy. I do not agree with it personally, but it's fine. But I mean, this was probably gonna be it anyway because the person wins this goes against Kirk, right? So I have lost to Kirk.
One people.
Now I lost to Brian too, which is an experience. Maybe I can beat him next time. But it's been a while since I lost in other than title matches. So at some point it had to come. Also, I think like 80% of my matches or something go to sudden death. The fuck's wrong with that, man?
I don't know the stats. I just know it's a lot since I've been here. You
Yeah.
are correct. Uh, we're definitely bringing you back. I mean, you keep saying yes. It's part of it. I don't know. He want to throw a turtles question at.
Mike Kenley.
Yeah, I kind of figured that was that. All right. Thanks for showing up, Nazario. Did a good job. Bringing your winner today, Brian Michaels. Brian. Yeah, your temple rub just kind of
Is Kirk actually
tells a
next for
story
me?
there. He's one of the possible people. We'll get to that in a second.
Guess better start watching Romero and Kurosawa then. Yeah.
How you doing? You get going.
I got some pointers.
No, I enjoyed this match. I honestly expected to lose, especially after I lost the first one, because there are some I felt good about and some I didn't. Terminator 2, when they posted the question, I'm like, there's only one answer to this, and it's Linda Hamilton. And everyone I asked, I said, what do you think best performance? They all said Linda Hamilton. I'm like, I'm not going to get to pick that, though, because he's picking first. And sure enough, he picked it. And so I just had to find an angle to attack that one. And I'm honestly shocked I won that one, but I'll take it. Yeah, I mean, this is, I don't like speed rounds, but I mean, we each took a clean sweep in one of our own categories, and then we did split decision the other two, and it came down to the speed round, and which I honestly still hate even when I won it, because I feel like I'm just kind of bumbling through 45 seconds of, trying to say something. Like Jacoby said, there's only so much you can say in 45 seconds. But it is what it is. Nazario is a great competitor, and like I said, I'm honestly surprised that I didn't lose that one. So thanks for a great match.
Right. Well, we've been kind of alluding to it before. Your next match will be the winner of the number 4 seed Joe Fairley and the number 1 seed Kirk Kowalkowski. So
Joe, it won't be any easier, honestly, because Kirk and I have disagreed about things for a long time, whether it be on screen or off. It's we do it in a friendly manner, but we have very differing opinions on pretty much everything. There's the Kirk Bryan rule. In fact, if two of us ever agree on anything, it's just considered fact. We decide this Kirk Bryan rule. But Joe Fairley, I've definitely judged some of his matches in the past. Obviously, I'm not judging this round because I'm in it, but he's a great debater as well. So if he turns out to be the winner, I don't think I'll do any better there. I think it's just I'll put in the work again, and hopefully I get questions with answers I can feel stronger about.
All right, it's fair enough. Well, Barry, always glad to have you here. Congratulations on the win. Let's go to the judges. Help me put a bow on it because I'm not very good at it. Cody, why don't you start us off?
So it's very interesting. Either Joe, Brian, or Kirk are my next opponent. That's fucking sucks. Overall, I'm not looking forward to either of those options. The good news for Brian is if Kirk thinks he's going to beat Brian, he may not use Kurosawa and Romero because he might have to save that for me with the new rule that you can't use it in back-to-back matches. So you may benefit. You may get some other old shit and some other old shit that you don't care about, but hey, those are options out there. I think this fight was really good. I guess I was the difference one. I guess I thought Linda Hamilton was a good choice, but overall I thought Brian had the correct answer. But yeah, I think they were evenly matched on a few of them, separated by such a hard question of 2000's crime. The more Jacoby said, that's why Jacoby's really good. Probably should have beaten you last time we played. But he was good at just justifying that answer. Yeah, none really said anything about crime. If we're being real, I was like, you know what? That's a very valid point. They said a lot of shit, but was it crime? So it was a really good match. They played really strong. They did really well. But yeah, Brian versus Kirk or Joe. Brian sat back and watched a lot of game. and saw a lot of judging, and you can tell like he knows how to formulate stuff to just make it work. So I don't think it's going to be as easy as Kirk or Joe may think it would be against Brian because he just came back. I think Brian's ready to go, so I'm excited for that matchup. And Nazario went down the wire, so I don't think he'll bitch at me too much for what I voted for. So that's always a plus.
You know, this is why I shouldn't do this. I suck at I suck at this because Cody is the champion right now. He should have talked last because he set it up perfectly. That's like we should have ended the video off. But I have to go to Jacoby because he's also here, and I'm really glad he showed up. Jacoby,
Mark, you did great. You did great.
You aced it, Mark. You did a good job. And I like that as my. I wish that could just be my introduction always. He is also here. Like that is just like that is what I'm known by. That's great. No, love it. No, I love this match. It was really interesting to see both these competitors attack. It's just my first judging of a debate, and to really like hone in, and it's fun to watch debates and just think of those things. But when you're judging it, you're really trying to keep in mind just like of the question itself, of how they argue back and forth, and what gives you a little more, because at this level with Nazario and Brian, they're going to give. It's not going to be completely one-sided like all the way. It's always close, and it's about analyzing. But no, it was great. It's a lot of fun. Congrats to Brian, sorry to Nazario, and I look forward to seeing Brian continue, and I know Nazario will be back. But this was fun. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, could have said better myself. And this is today's episode, Multiplex Fanzone. Thank you everybody for coming here today. Thank you to the judges, Cody, Jacoby for showing up, and the competitors, Nazario Montenegro and Brian Michaels. And I know what? Why are you shaking your head? Okay. Well, anyway, I know Tim likes to do this when Nazario's here, so we're gonna do it. Goodbye, everybody.